Okay, everybody, welcome back to Scenic Grid Astrology. Makayla here. This is the second video of the Pluto transit series. So if you have not watched the first video, the overall arching energy of a Pluto transit, how to survive it, how to deal with it, what it comes up, what it's meant, what Pluto means in the chart, and by transit, you need to watch that video first, okay? Don't skip and then watch this video until you've watched that one first. Don't cheat yourself. Trust me, that video had a lot of important information, and it's really the foundation and the base that I think one should understand when they're trying to, look into what you're experiencing right now or navigate what might be coming ahead with you. Okay. So again, don't skip that video. Go ahead and watch the first video, Pluto transits, of 44 minutes long, and then come back and then watch one of these. So in this video, I'm going to cover Pluto transits through 1 through 6 houses. Okay. Um, so we're going to discuss when Pluto's crossing the angle a little bit, and I will discuss Pluto crossing the angle in the second video when I discuss the houses 7 through 12. Okay, so if you're one of those individuals where you're experiencing Pluto kind of going on your ascendant right now, you're gonna want to watch this one, Pluto going through the first house, and then go to the second video and also kind of look at what Pluto through the 12th house looks like. Okay, but that's only for those individuals who are experiencing Pluto crossing your ascendant right now. Everybody else, Pluto through houses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This video is for you, and we're going to break it down. Okay. So if you are an individual having Pluto cross your ascendant and come to the first house, this is a massive shift for you in consciousness. Okay. Pluto crossing the ascendant, it does not happen to everybody, or any of the angles, right? If that's the fourth, the seventh, or the 10th. If you look at the angles, they are like the four pillars of the entire chart, right? They all always represent like the most important areas of life itself. And to cross the ascendant and come to your first house, it's going to feel like a radical shift. Okay. You're going to go through a radical change, a radical transformation, and it's very much a death and renewal process for you. Okay. A death and rebirth experience. Okay. You are basically coming out of a time when you weren't in control with life, and Pluto kind of threw things at you, and you had to go through life trusting the universe and learning to trust in the higher powers and kind of guiding and, learning a lot of deep things around spirituality, your spiritual connection, the meaning of things beyond what you can see and what you can like conceptualize. But really going into other ethers and other realms, and becoming connected to, something greater, something beyond, and becoming more wise and more empowered, okay, through that sort of dynamic of life, okay. And I'll discuss more in the Pluto and 12th transit video. So when it comes into the first house, you are literally now wearing Pluto. Okay. You're wearing this archetype, you're wearing this dynamic, and you're going to show up because it's the ascendant. You're going to show up and confront everything in your life through this radical change that is going on within you. Okay. So a lot of people find themselves now transforming who they are as an individual, and it becomes a very intense process for you. Okay. And essentially, the human is wanting to be super empowered through Pluto. Okay. Wear Pluto, own Pluto. And that looks like relentless independence. Okay. And having authority over your life and having, some levels of control over your life, and being able to feel powerful as you navigate through life, and especially when it comes to your relationship dynamics and other people. Okay, other people that you come up with, right? Because the opposite is now the seventh house, so it's you and other people. Okay, so you could feel the impulse to radically change your life and radically change how you're showing up in your relationships. And it's quite often that your relationships will change a lot, whether they are killed off and they die, not literally like maybe, but whatever. Again, I'm very authentic here when it comes to Pluto. But the relationships could end, right? They could definitely end, or they need to transform because you are now owning your own sense of empowerment and confronting the things within yourself that might have been limiting before, or under the surface that you weren't ready to look at, weren't ready to claim for yourself. Okay, those things now come to the surface and they infuse this person with a very passionate spirit for life, right? A purpose, a mission, feel to call upon your own independence and own your own independence and really carry life through that. Okay, it can be confusing at times because you're changing so much and everything in your life is affected by how you change and how you're transforming on an internal self. And you're showing up as a different person, and that can be quite triggering to other people. Okay, so it's quite often that you'll deal with a lot of projection from other people, and whether they can handle your level of intensity or not. The bottom line, and what I discussed in the first video, is showing up as your honest self and your truthful self, and knowing that you're going to be a little bit more assertive and strong and confident now, and that can often insult or trigger other people in your life. Okay, and you'll show up as like this really honest and raw person and this really passionate person at times, and other people will definitely see you as triggering. Okay, and seeing you as like this strong Plutonian force, and they'll get triggered by it. Okay, and they might get insulted, or and your relationships might change, and so forth. But this isn't like a passive kind of transit, right? It's very upfront, it's very in your face. And some people might struggle with this kind of transit if they're feeling scared or feared of calling on their own empowerment, right? Your own aggression, your own um, force of nature that's going to come within you, right? You're becoming not a passive person anymore. Like for some people, you've been a passive person for quite a long time, and all of a sudden you're like, cut the shit, right? I'm not going to be passive anymore. This is my truth. This is how I feel. This is my opinion. This is what I want to say. This is how I want to lead my life. Like I'm not going to be a pushover in these relationships anymore. Okay. And you might go through a period where other people find you really difficult to be in relationship with or talk to or whatever that is, until you start to like really own your own power. Okay, until you start to really get really comfortable with Pluto, and then like the aggression or the assertiveness and the domination and the domineering and the dynamics of you asserting your own power now in a new way, they kind of like tame themselves a little bit. Okay, because over time, you're basically going to confront enough of your shadows within yourself. You're going to exhaust them all, and you're going to become radically self-empowered and radically knowledgeable. Okay. And then there's going to be a deep level of self-empowerment that comes from that. And that's like leadership energy. Okay. That's transformative energy. That is, I am claiming this power within myself. I don't need somebody else to provide this thing for me anymore. I actually have that. Okay. So there's a level of independence that becomes gained over this. There's a level of willpower that becomes strengthened, and ultimately Pluto takes on a new level. It takes over your behavior essentially, and it creates your life, and it transforms your life to go in a different direction rather than what it was going towards previously. And so one of the things is like, if you've been somebody who have been feeling like you want to go a different route in life, but for whatever reasons, fear stagnation, blocks, confrontations, and stuff have been coming up for you that haven't, so you haven't taken control of your life yet. You haven't, moved from, if we're flying a plane, you haven't moved from first officer to captain. Well, this transit is now going to say, well, the first officer just died, and now you have to fly the plane and you have to become captain now of the plane, right? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do about that, right? So you're taking controls now over your life in a very radical way, in a new direction. Okay. And there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of emotions filled within you, experiencing you, and you're going to be confronted with, what does power look like? How do I use power? How do I claim it within myself? And what direction am I taking it in? Because it's going to really alter and shape and shift the entire direction of the life that you're now going in. Okay. So it's a pretty amazing transit, to be honest, to have and to go through. It's pretty incredible to show up with like one of the most powerful forces, I think, that's in the astrology chart. It will come with challenges, of course, like we discussed in the first video, but ultimately at the end of the day, you're going to be radically independent and radically transformed, and you're going to have such a level of depth of knowledge and self knowledge and growth and empowerment that just emanates within your presence. You will literally carry yourself. You will literally carry and look a different way once you've claimed this Plutonian force within you in its highest vibration and highest qualities. Okay. So when Pluto transits the second house, this is a house that definitely deals with our resources. Okay, so our needs for survival, and our, to some level and degree, level of safety and security. And that does share a little bit with the fourth house too, we'll get to, but a level of safety and security, because it's also about, your resources, like taking care of yourself, which one of the massive topics in our society now, maybe 150 200 years ago was more so food, but now it's money, right? It's money. It's has to do with our wealth, right? And that is even a deeper layer, not just wealth as money, but wealth as your personal self-esteem. Okay. And I am a subscriber to believe that if you take care of yourself and you have enough self-respect and integrity and self-esteem, then that transpires into your wealth overall in life. Okay. Because one of the foundations of the second house is really about your values. Okay. So here, Pluto is going to bring up all of these confrontational dynamics when it comes to evaluating what your values are as a human person. Okay. Your value systems, your integrity, and your integrity to keep those value systems. Okay. So many of you might be challenged with something that you once put a value, and now Pluto is challenging that and it's transforming that. Okay. So do you still align with the things that you still used to live according your life to? Okay. And is that going to change? Right. So you might be making money in a certain way, or maybe you're in the head of a corporate company, for instance, and you had a lot of respect for corporate world. You had a lot of value with the work that you were doing with your position, and then all of a sudden, the rules of the corporate world, they change, or the company, they have a new CEO that took over, and they change everything, and now that's challenging the integrity of the company that you're working for, and it's challenging the values that you have as a person, right? It's a, say this is like a medical company, for instance, right? And they're like, well, we're gonna change the prescription formula, and now it's going to hurt people and challenge people. And it's like, now you're meeting a level of power and control dynamics here when it comes to your value system and the integrity, and how that's connected to your resources and how you're making money, right? And are you going to sell yourself, right, according to the devil, to keep your job and like make your money, or is it still in alignment with you, and do you not care, and where are you sitting with that? Okay. Another thing that comes up is like, where does money come from, and like, how am I using it, right? How am I using my resources? How am I using money? This is bringing up in the tarot, the Four of Pentacles card to me, where the guy is sitting on his pentacles and he's hoarding. He's hoarding his money. He's holding on to his resources because he's afraid to let go of them, not understanding that money is an energy exchange, right? So it constantly comes and goes, constantly comes and goes. It's an in and out system. Okay. So a person having the second house transit, a Pluto transit your second house, you're going to be confronted with these issues that comes with making decisions around your values. Okay, your values are really established by your belief system, so there's probably something going on here with Sag or the ninth house going on in your chart, or Jupiter's getting transited or something like that. But money and possessions are up for review when Pluto's going through the second house. And another layer of that is your self-respect. Okay. So value, self-worth is based in choices that we make. And if we are making choices based in self-respect and self-love, then our value of ourselves is going to increase and become more empowered. Okay. So for some people, it's going to bring up a lot of choices around that. Okay. Am I making decisions? This is a solar plexus dynamic that we work with in chakra coaching. But am I making choices out of self-respect and self-love? And are these boosting my self-esteem? Are they boosting my self-confidence? Am I growing as a person, or am I selling myself short essentially for the darker areas of life? Okay, because that's going to catch up. It's going to catch up eventually if it's not in alignment with who you truly are. Okay, so if you're going against the grain of your values, then Plutonian hits are going to become harder for you. But if you're living accordingly to your values and your self-respect and having integrity in that, then Pluto's going to reward you with more money. Okay. I'm not going to say that these won't cause shifts. And again, like us having to leave certain things behind when we have Pluto in the second house transiting, right? I have like Scorpio rules my second house, right? So this death and rebirth thing gets always transformed, right? As I change, okay? And so your money will change, but as long as you stay with your own personal integrity, Pluto here will constantly regenerate itself, and Pluto can bring incredible wealth to the chart holder with this transiting or natal. But Pluto wants to make sure that you're being honest and showing up with yourself on this, and not selling yourself for something that's more on the darker evil side, if you will. So Pluto transiting the third house this is the house where, we are dealing with our community on a more local space. Okay. People closer to us, right? Not 11th house groups, communities, people that align with our vision, but like, neighborhoods. Some friends can form in here too, as well, connections that we make. But this is heavily a house that it deals with communication and how we communicate. Okay. So Pluto going through this house is going to have a lot of people mentally going through a mental transformation. Okay. Mental transformation about your ideas, about learning. You could become heavily fixated on learning something new because you feel like it will bring you a new level of empowerment, or there's a need to investigate a truth around something as well. Okay. So, some people might really experience researching, investigating, diving really deep into something knowledgeable and learning, and something that creates a more honest and open dialogue around that topic, right? Or around that conversation. Okay. This is about Pluto really penetrating a part of your mind, and giving you a sense of empowerment so that you can now communicate that with other people, or share those ideas, or share those opinions. Okay. For some of you, you might really transform a topic that, you meet every day with people on a day-to-day basis. You meet, you communicate, and then all of a sudden there's something that's triggered and you're like, I don't really know if that's the whole truth and the honest truth. And Pluto brings you into this spiral where, there's a hunger to grab more, to dig deeper, to investigate more, to get more knowledge, more books, more communication, right? It's a commitment to getting really honest, to speaking the truth. Is one of the things that we do in the third house is also speaking, okay? So some people, if they've felt for a long time um repressed to speak up, to speak how they feel, or to speak what they know, or to communicate on any level of degree, like how they feel and what they know, then Pluto transiting this house now is going to, promote that individual to tell your truth, right? To say you're in a this is coming an example from somebody personally in my life, but like they've been abused by somebody for a long time and they were protecting the individual for whatever reason, or afraid to tell their own story or communicate what happened to them. And they suppressed themselves. They didn't vocalize themselves, right? For many, many years, many long time. Pluto coming into this house is going to say, it's not like we're going to make you talk about it, right? We're going to expose the truth. We're going to communicate the truth. We're going to start telling the truth. Okay. So, because that stuff will get heavy, and it will feel mentally heavy unless, we start to speak it, right? We start to poke into the deeper layers of, why we went through that thing, or why other people go that thing, or why do people act this way, right? Or, um, you know, picking any topic that maybe needs deeper levels of investigation. Some of the people having this transit might come out of this transit with an incredible new, deeper knowledge of like how they see the world, and it can shift and change the way other people, right, see the world and so forth. Okay. When Pluto crosses the fourth house, okay, this is also one of the angles. So, and one of the other things is I want to say about Pluto in the third is that Pluto requires some level of commitment to the transformational journey that it's bringing, whatever house it's transiting through. It anchors you. It anchors you in there. Okay. So there's going to be a level of anchoring that'll be called for this individual to really expose and tell their truth. Okay. And a commitment to that. And it's going to be a long process because Pluto takes a long time to transit a house. Okay. But eventually you come out on the other side knowing that you can use your voice in a very empowered way, that you've done a lot of deep research, deep investigation that most people have not even become to see in their reality yet. And then you become empowered to really expose this new level of reality and teach it to other people, communicate it, or at least share ideas to other people. So when Pluto crosses the IC or is moving into the fourth house, this is one of those other really difficult transits to go through, because it's one of the angles and this is at the bottom of the chart. So I have had Pluto crossing my IC for the last couple of years. It's still hanging out there, but it's, moved into it's only a degree away now, but it's in the fourth house. But I've had 4 or 5 passes of this already. So I know this one intimately. This is an intimate house. This is the foundation of the chart as well. Okay. So everything else in the natal chart is built from the fourth house. This is where we meet our security. This is where we meet our comfort, our sense of belonging, our connection. This deals with our ancestors, our home, our family, our roots. Okay. And emotional, layers, emotional security, the feeling realm, the psychological realm. Okay. So it's a very powerful transit to have. Not everyone experiences this in their life. So this begins to transform who you are from the inside out, right? The inside out, because it is literally changing the psychological and emotional layers within you. Okay. So on the outside, this is going to look like, losing some parents, losing some people that you were very close to. In my first video, I talked about, how I haven't spoken to my mother since I was 20 years old. So we're going on 15 years. As Pluto came closer to my IC and stuff, I lost my grandfather last year. My grandmother's health is not super great right now. She's still alive. Amen. But, you know, I know that these things come, right? So you get to know intimately, and I started mediumship school around this time too. These transits came up 2 years ago, and I became a medium. I became a psychic channel, and I began empowering myself through the emotional realm and learning about how to manage and become queen of my emotions. But also dig really deep into the deep emotional, psychological layers of myself and find a sense of empowerment through that, right? So some people you on the outside, you will experience aging parents or aging grandparents, aging family members, and home transformations, right? Deep transformations in the home. People might move in, you might move out, you might have house fires, things that make you feel safe and secure at one point, you lose them. You go through these deep struggles of learning your own sense of empowerment and creating your own foundation of empowerment and security. Okay, because the things that you once relied on or you thought were safety and security, they leave, right? They get transformed because that's what's part of life. Many of these things are a part of life, but also Pluto is teaching the individual, you can survive through the things that bring you that sense of safety and security and belonging. You can survive that loss, right? You can survive losing the things that you were once had tenacity and were, digging your claws into. Those things, they can get transformed. Okay. So, even your community can transform around this. Your like where your home is, like your neighborhood and stuff too, it's kind of shifts from the third to the fourth. But because your home is rooted in like a neighborhood or a community space, sort of these things can change as well, right? So you can literally move towns, you can move homes, you can move countries even, right? Depends what's going on in your chart. Maybe you have Sag fourth house or something, right? But your sense of security and safety and belonging, those are up for challenges right now, but you will survive them, right? I survived. You will survive them. These things bring you a new level of self-empowerment that you can parent yourself, right? That you don't need somebody else to take care of you, that you can take care of you when you feel like you've lost all the things that were once of support, right? That you needed, okay? So this is also going to bring up things around how you deal with your feelings, because these are going to be heavily triggered years of your emotions being challenged, right? And how do you handle those? How do you deal with those? Like learning to have empowerment over your emotional reactions, okay? So your feelings are just ignited and triggered and so forth. And basically knowing that you're strong enough to make it through these significant losses. Okay. A lot of you might start investigating your lineages, looking into your ancestral DNA, maybe even going farther back than, 5 generations, maybe going really deep back, right? Doing deep inner investigation. It's quite often a lot of you guys get connected to the psychic world as well, because much like all the water houses are psychic in one way or another. But when we deal with the fourth house here, we deal with our ancestors, karmic dynamics, multiple lifetimes, ancestral traumas and so forth, right? We deal with this kind of realm of like lineage passed on. And so there can be, a profound awakening around your intuitive psychic abilities that really get triggered now and transformed. And as a trained psychic medium, as a trained channel and a spiritual coach, it is only through really deep emotional work. And I mean deep emotional work where you can really heighten and transform these psychic abilities, and everyone has them, right? But if you're getting this Pluto in the fourth house transit, this is the foundation of your life, and the rest is built upon that. Okay. So there's going to be a very deep, profound, life-altering connection to you and who you are as a core human being on an emotional landscape. Okay. It's going to feel like heartbreak at times. It's going to feel like you're lost everything, that you don't have a sense of belonging, like you don't know who you belong to, where you belong to, and so forth. Okay. But you're going to come out of it so much more empowered and know that wherever you go, wherever you may live, wherever you may find family and connection with, and so forth, you actually bring that foundation with you. Okay. And you actually have this sense of belonging within yourself, and it gets connected to something that is more greater than you. Okay. The fifth house transit is an area of life where we are meant to bring out our own personal creative self-expression, okay? Creative self-expression and really shine in the world, okay? So when Pluto is transiting through here, it's now going to put a spotlight and an anchor in how you're choosing to represent yourself in the world and how you're choosing to express yourself, okay? This is somebody in the hallway. So, yeah, so how you're choosing to express yourself, how you're choosing to show up for yourself out in the world. Okay. So many of you, like maybe you're an artist, maybe you have a book you want to publish that you want to put out, maybe you want to start a YouTube channel, maybe you want to start your own business, right? Because you're a woodworker and it's on your own creative craft, right? Pluto is going to come in here and be like, all right, what is this special gift that you know you have, right? Maybe that's an idea, a perspective that you really want to share and you want to start a podcast, for instance, right? Or maybe you already have a gift that you're working on, right? And you really haven't stepped into your full power yet with it. You've been a little afraid. There's been a little hesitancy. Maybe you feel like you're not good enough yet, or there's more that you need to learn, or there's more, you know, training that you need to have. Okay. These things are going to come up, and it's Pluto's going to be like, are you playing it too safe when it comes to expressing yourself? Or are you ready to share your gift with the world, right? Are you ready for the audience? Whether they receive you or not, right? Whether they like you or not, are you willing to step out in front on stage and perform your performance? And I don't mean literally, that doesn't mean everybody transiting Pluto in the fifth house has to step on stage, but are you ready to show yourself as who you are through your creative talents and through the things that bring you joy and playfulness, right? This is really about harnessing your unique self, your unique self-expression, and being playful with that, right? And how do you want to expose yourself essentially in front of others? Because the opposite is Aquarius, but that is the audience. Okay. And the true empowerment here with the fifth house is knowing that your creative self-expression, whether it's received good or not, is your own unique creative self-expression. And the purpose here is for you to not feel embarrassed. So Pluto is going to bring up things like, can you make it through being embarrassed? Can you make it through being booed off a stage? Can you make it through being rejected a few times from a publishing company, right? This is going to really profoundly work on your ego development, right? And your sense of ego, and give you a really strong self-empowerment of, you know, your creative gifts, right? Your unique purpose that you have to share into the world. And being your authentic self, right? It really becomes about being your authentic self and shining no matter what, like no matter what, right? I knew somebody who was Leo, very Leonic, and whenever I think about the fifth house transits, especially with Pluto, you know, he was very, what some people would say, triggering, but he was super generous and super talented with his gift, super courageous, super brave when it came to it. And not everybody liked him, but I will tell you, the majority of people liked him. And because he had such strong and powerful ego, and I mean like not in the narcissistic way, like in a healthy way, um, was so unabashed about sharing his creative skills and knowledge and knowing that he was empowered by it, he was actually 95% received by the community. Okay. There was that 5% that had he was triggering their Pluto fifth house, right? Stuff, right? So that can happen, right? It's like you being your authentic self, you being you're shining. Pluto's going to give you some challenges. There's always going to be people who have something to say or don't want to clap or don't want to applaud you or don't want to give you the like or whatever. Okay, right? It doesn't matter. It's all chatter anyway. And especially if you're having Pluto in Aquarius right now, if you're going through your fifth house, it's cutting out the noise of other people and it's doing it anyway. Pluto will reward you. Pluto will come in and give you that empowerment and give you that applaud. That is wanted with the fifth house. Like, I have to be real, it is wanted with the fifth house, but it depends why you're wanting the applaud, right? Why are you wanting, are you having fun doing your creative thing, right? Self-expression, right? Showing yourself, shining your light. If you're having fun and you're doing it anyway, the naysayer is like Pluto is going to cut it out for you, okay? And you're going to learn to cut it out as well through this Pluto transit, okay? So it's really not really about staying quiet. And I don't mean that you have to be the loudest in the room to do this, but you don't have to stay quiet with your special talents and gifts, right? And if you're already working on one, it becomes a level of upgrading and empowering yourself even deeper and even more through that talent that you're working on now, right? That gift, okay? Another thing is because this is like where we find like children, hobbies, things that we find of joy, playful, fun stuff, like otherwise, right? Those things might change too. So some things that you really found, like say you were a tennis player for your whole life and you were really good at it. And now all of a sudden it's like tennis isn't your world anymore and you're just done and you don't understand why, but you're just done with it. That can also happen with this transit, right? Things that you once found so much joy and empowerment in, it can feel like a death, like an ego death, because there's some level of um, formation of the self and confidence of the self formed around the thing that you were once so inspired and so in love with, that starts to die away and it starts to lose its shine. It starts to lose its appeal. Okay, so you need to let things go. You need to let those things go or ask yourself, why am I not empowered or why am I not interested in this thing anymore? What about me is changing and where am I looking in a new direction? What does give me that joy and playfulness and fun? What new hobby could I find myself really wanting to shine in and become, creatively unique in as well. Okay. Um, and then also, when it comes to as far as expressing yourself or your creative gifts, your talents, have you podcasting, like whatever it is, whatever dynamic you're choosing to expose yourself through, it's often that Pluto is now going to color that self-expression, right? So if it once looks like rainbows and sunshine at one point, it might become more edgy, right? More taboo, a little bit darker, right? Because your expression, your self-expression, you're meeting these edgier qualities of Pluto. You're meeting these other dynamics that Pluto is bringing up, like these other emotions or dynamics of life or self-expression, if you will. They become more Plutonian in their expression. I'm actually Aquarius rules my fifth house, so Pluto moving into Aquarius is also going to affect my work and stuff like this that I do. And I have been becoming a little bit more edgier. I know that it will be a little bit more provocative, more direct. Just a total change from when I first started my YouTube channel 6 years ago, which is hilarious. Like meek, Makayla, like kind of shy, like took forever to prep a video. And now I just kind of write a few notes and I get on and I just like chat and I'm like, okay, what's coming out of me? That's really changed as like Pluto has been moving closer to Aquarius. And so that those kind of dynamics can come up for other people having this transit. Okay, there's a level of depth of empowerment of independence that you'll claim when it comes to whatever vessel you're using your creative self-expression through. Okay. The sixth house, the sixth house is a few things. But ultimately, from my lens, it's really an area of life where we're learning to become more competent and coherent. And we are deciphering what is necessary, what's healthy, what's not, right? So it's a picking out, it's a cleansing of some sorts. It can be a little nitpicky. It's more detail oriented in the sixth house. But ultimately, it's about your skills, okay? The skills that you're developing and you're having, and being of service and showing up with those skills, okay? So a part of this transit will invoke individuals to become more competent and coherent when it comes to your skills and the skills that you have, and giving yourself a level of empowerment that you have enough now, right, to take responsibility over things in life and improve them and make them for the better. Okay. One of the things that comes up is, your daily routines, your daily life, right? So that can include work for some people, right? Some dynamics of work can fall into this house. Also 10th, a little bit, maybe 11th. Well, it can all be connected to all the houses. But, specifically with the sixth house, you're working on improving things, but then also you can find yourself in power struggles with people because you're an apprentice for a while and you've been working under a master, okay? And now Pluto comes in and it's like, well, you have all the skills. Like you've been working under a master for 30 years. Like now is your time to use your own skills and you become the master. You claim the responsibility, right? What are you going to do with this power that you have now? All these skills you've attained, all this knowledge you've attained, right? All these details of life you've been processing. How are you going to use them now, right? On the other level, too, it can ask you to deepen your skills if you haven't, right? To get more empowered through them, right? So you can become really fixated and committed on improving yourself, right? In certain areas of life, right? This can definitely affect your health, right? Your routine. So you might really become oriented and focused on cleaning up your body, cleaning up your health, right? How is your diet right now? Are you exercising? Do you need to exercise? Does meditation need to be in place here, right? What kind of commitments do you need to make to your health? Emotional, physical, mental, they can all form in here. They can all reside in here, okay? Because ultimately, taking care of your personal responsibilities is going to allow you to take care of the other responsibilities that you're going to have, or you might already have as commitments in your day-to-day life, okay? So at times, like, you can really feel power struggles, either like when it comes to your health and trying to really take control and like find out, why am I struggling with this mental health so bad, for instance, right? Pluto's going to bring those things up. Or maybe it's a physical health thing, right? Maybe it's the thing you're eating that you've been doing. Maybe, you've been no judgment here, but maybe you've been eating a bag of cookies every night for the last 3 years, and now it's catching up to you. And Pluto's like, are you going to take responsibility to your health to make things get better, right? To make things get better, to clean yourself, to improve your health over time, okay? There can be shifts in power in that. And, this is one of the harder houses, honestly. It's a transitioning house when we go into the seventh house, but this is really about you learning that you have power over your body and that you have power every single day of your life, but it's going to be about the little small choices that you're going to make, okay? The little small improvements that you can make every day, okay? And that's also going to not only deal with like your body and physical health, but it's also going to deal with, your service and how you feel like you're showing up to be of service. Okay. So a lot of people might feel like their day-to-day life isn't satisfying anymore. It's not because, this is the house of service. This is the service access, the 612. And you might feel like your daily life just isn't giving you a sense of service and empowerment and love and gift, right, to other people. And there can be shifts of power with at work or with other people in your life or so forth. Or, maybe it's even a struggle within, um, anybody that has some power with you or over you, and you feel like it doesn't align with you anymore, right? You're sorting it out under this transit. You're sorting those responsibilities out. So how can you make your life better? Okay. So really look, and this is going to be different for everybody, right? Don't think that like it's a one size fit all with having Pluto transit the sixth, and like everybody Pluto transit the sixth needs to have like a really clean diet and work out every day and be da 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 da. It needs to be in alignment with what you think is going to be self-empowering for you, right? What you feel, because that's what Pluto is orientated to, right? What you feel is of service to your own health and to other people, okay? And then align yourself according to those values, right? And then start to make little choices every day that are based in that self-respect to clean up areas of your life, right? Shift the power, take more responsibility for yourself. And if you want to let go of certain responsibilities that you have every day that you feel are detrimental to your health and in like not in alignment anymore, and like too much sacrifice, and I can't do this anymore, it's killing you kind of thing, Pluto's going to ask you or challenge you, like, are you ready to say no to that? Are you ready to give up that responsibility because it's really not in alignment with you anymore and it's making you sick, for instance, right? So, and that can be part of the painful journey too, because the guilt and the shame of saying no to something which you've been committed to for a very long time and had a responsibility for a very long time. Well, now Pluto's coming in and saying, you really need to gain some independence for your own coherent, responsible choices that you're ready to make now, right? To improve your life, because this is your life and your soul growth and your soul journey. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up. My face hurts because I just had some things done the other day and I need to not talk that much. But that being said, if you have any questions or comments for houses 1 through 6, please leave them down below. I love when you guys leave comments. The rest of the houses are going to be up very soon. I'll probably post them around Monday night or Tuesday night. I have to go somewhere tomorrow, so I'm not able to finish and I can't talk anymore right now. But please make sure that you give my video a like. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Make sure you leave a comment and share my video on your social media platforms with other people. It helps my channel grow. And I think this is really powerful information, especially with the upcoming Pluto transit that we're having very soon. Okay. You guys are wonderful. I love my audience, my very small audience. I love you all. And I'll be back soon. Okay. Take care.